Okay, our next one comes from Five Venoms Strike. It says, Lone Wolf, love your channel and the fresh takes. Thank you. Quick question for you. Which era of martial arts films was better? The Kung Fu era from the 70s through the 80s or the 90s era through the 2000s? Thanks and keep up the great work. Thank you. We really appreciate the question. Holy. Well, I could just give my answer, but maybe I should do a little bit of a breakdown. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the two eras and look at what was happening. So I like to believe that the 70s through the 80s is what I consider to be the golden era of Kung Fu movies, right? It's when Kung Fu movies were extremely popular. We had the New York culture, we had the Chicago culture, we had a Los Angeles culture, and a lot of cultures that we probably didn't even know they had Kung Fu movie movements. But those are the three that were extremely popular back then, and we were just inundated with different companies that were all developing like multiple stars, right? So you had like you had Golden Harvest, you had Shaw Brothers, and from those companies, these stars were born, right? So you had Bruce Lee, you had the Venoms mob, you had Hwang John Lee, Lee Yi Min, John Liu, Gordon Liu, Kara Huey, Johnny Wang Lung Wei, Jackie, Sammo, Young Biao, Tan Tao Liang, Lo Lai. I mean, I could go on forever, right? The movies that came out of this era, I mean, just absolute classics. Again, I could name so many movies. I mean, obviously all of the Shaw Brothers, Venom's catalog, but even the movies that predate that era. But you've got your Five Deadly Venoms, Invincible Shaolin, you've got Magnificent Ruffians, you've got the Brave Archer series. Then you've got Jackie Chan's kind of 70s martial arts movies that some consider to be classics, right? Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, Drunken Master, right? You've got those. And then you've got these, you've got your kickers, right? You've got Tan Tao Liang, you've got John Liu, you've got Hwang John Lee, you've got those guys. And then, I mean, come on, Gordon, right? G. Liu. I mean, come on. I mean, you just got a gang of, of movies. We've got the 36 Chambers, then Return to the 36 Chambers. You've got Mad Monkey Kung Fu, Monkey Kung Fu. I mean, there's too many to list, right? Prodigal Son. Oh, there's so many popping in my head right now. Magnificent Butcher. A lot of these, by the way, are being reviewed on this channel, so check them out. But that being said, just a golden era. Listen, there are channels on YouTube that are dedicated to just giving you movies that you can watch for free. Wu-Tang Collection is the one that pops into my head. But yeah, there's just a ton of content that's out there for free, right? That you can watch because it's just a wealth of movies that came out in that era. Now, we're talking about the 90s era in comparison through the 2000s. Some of that era are built around some of the same actors from the 70s and 80s, but are now older, seasoned versions of themselves, right? Like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Donnie Yen, Sammo Hung, are still doing movies, but now they're much older, right? And then you have your new additions like Vincent Zhao or Stephen Chow, for example, who are doing the best that they can to keep the genre alive through obviously movies like Ip Man and things of that nature. But even early 90s, when Jackie Chan really hit that pocket that, in my opinion, reinvigorated his career. The Buster Keaton-esque stuntman driven style of martial arts action cinema. Then Jet Li kind of came in there and wedged his way into the mainstream through movies like, Lethal Weapon and Romeo Must Die, things of that nature. And like I said, today now we have Ip Man, and we have some various TV shows that are out there, and a lot of martial arts films that are, I think, if we're talking about kung fu, maybe it's died down a little bit. Maybe it's died down a little bit because we don't have that new wave of charismatic superstars that will carry us into the next era. We got a lot of pretty boys, right? A lot of pretty boys, a lot of cute girls, right? Who are not like classically trained, who have acrobatic prowess and martial skill, but rather stunt actors who kind of fill in for them and take their place. So, it doesn't feel the same. So I hate to say it. I really do. I hate to say it, but I think that to answer your question, I gotta go with 70s through the 80s, man. I gotta go with the 70s through the 80s. I think that that's just the golden era. That era is so good that now in the 2020s, we still go back and watch those movies. Because I think that those movies would be in the Kung Fu time capsule, that if the planet was destroyed, we would put those movies into our time capsule so that when the aliens find it, they would find those movies. I'm not so sure that they would do that with the 90s through 2000 era. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some dope movies in the 90s era and the 2000s. But again, a lot of those movies are, in fact, with the same actors from the 70s through the 80s, but now they're just older, right? So yeah, I gotta go with the 70s through 80s, but hey, that's a great question. My question to you all is, what era you got, right? Comment below and let us know. Hey, we take on all questions. Please, if you have a great question that you'd like to send us, please forward that to lonewolfandcub71@gmail.com. And on our next episode, we'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. And again, we thank you again, Venom Strike. We really appreciate that. Let's go on to the final question. Let's go.